Hi, I'm Justin Klein, GinReviews.com.
And I'm Neil Cordes at GinReviews.com.
And today we're reviewing Knickerbocker Gin with Rich and Dennis. So we're going to go ahead and pour a little bit into the glass. We always like to see a cork on the product. Sometimes some of these screw tops are get us a little apprehensive, but the fact that there's a cork on it speaks volume. When was the first time you guys tried Knickerbocker Gin?
I tried Knickerbocker for the first time roughly 4 years ago. During the first batch. It's interesting, the initial version of Knickerbocker, due to Michigan law, we had to use fruit-based. No, that's fine, thank you. So Knickerbocker was initially made with brandy as a base, because Michigan law we had to, and that has obviously since changed.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, those laws changed in the middle of 2008.
You know, you get these beautiful legs in the glass. I just love how looking at it, it just looks just almost silky. Very seductive.
I first had Knickerbocker after they went to, as it is now, a grain-based distillate. And probably within a couple months after it was released, and a group of friends got together for basically a gin tasting at my house. And I have a friend who's a ginophile, and he brought his bar's worth of gin over, and that was a pretty fun weekend.
Yeah.
I get almost a lot of lemony naturally out of the nose, but I get almost like a hoppy out of there as well, like kind of like
hops does have a citrus character to it. You'll see that word thrown around a lot with hoppy beers. So,
sure.
The citrus notes, we freshly zest lemons and oranges, so it's a fresh zest, and it's done the day of the infusion. So it's I don't know how much using fresh zest versus buying dried stuff will affect that, but
this belongs in a bar, like.
Yeah.
And that's a comment we get often is it does have a kind of a citrusy, and it really wasn't the intent to make it a citrusy per se gin. It's more or less to bring out these other flavors that are in other gins, but the heavy juniper can mask them at times.
Yeah, this is making me very curious. I think just from smelling there's a lot of potential in making it in different cocktails, as well as being able to be experimental. This allows people to step out of their element they're used to and being able to actually make something that could be truly unique.
So what other flavor notes are you picking up? My mind is working
A
very
little bit of
quickly here,
flower,
but I don't want to plant
a little bit of
any
flower and petals. I'm able to kind of like almost like if I were to walk into open the doors, walk outside, and be able to see all this aroma of flowers come and hit me. It actually makes me kind of smile a little bit. It makes me very curious to see how it tastes.
There's a bit of a floral taste to it. More of that lemon zest you were talking about.
It's definitely very clean. I don't get too much spice though. I get a little bit more of a baseline, and then there's certain amplifications along the way. It's like an adventure roller coaster ride all the way. It's got me very curious to see what it tastes for. It almost seems like you put a touch of the brewery into the gin to kind of accent off of what you're having. So I could see going into a pub and trying your beer, then all of a sudden, God, what's this? And then it uses an entry point to get people into the gin. I think it's a brilliant idea, and I'm looking at the back, it says vibrant and aromatic. Those are definitely two words that I would use to describe this.
Yeah.
Yeah, what we find, because they distill at a pub, and we have this laboratory there to experiment, even with new ideas for spirits, is that we can start doing these drinks and try to figure out how it is, and then now Rich can go off and talk about it to bartenders more intelligently than if we were just some kind of craft distiller without that bar right at the distillery. So it's really a unique advantage for us, and when we exploit that advantage.
It reminds me of a party with fireworks, something good for every occasion, almost like 4th of July. I'm just looking at all the lakes here, and they're just thick, healthy, long legs all around. That's a good signature that was distilled very well. I think we should give it a taste and see what we got. I know you've already embellished, so.
Already done that.
Clean, crisp, going a little bit more spiciness than what I got in the aroma. Very clean. Makes me want to drink more right off the bat. It's so easy to drink.
Yeah.
I'm really impressed with how clean and dry it was. I like it a lot. It almost tastes like I'm drinking spring water with a little bit of minerals and vitamins in it, keep me healthy, feeling through. So I really like it. I think in a martini would be great. In a cocktail would be good. I really like clean gins, and this is specifically what I'm getting here. It's got everything characteristics of a wine, and I keep coming back to that pump for some reason. I don't know if you're able to bottle the atmosphere into the bottle, but that's why I think I keep getting the party sense of it.
Oh, and we get people who are just typically vodka martini drinkers who are now drinking Knickerbocker martinis because they previously, a traditional gin martini was something that kind of scared them a little bit, and they may have had one that was, didn't hit their palate. Now this one's like, oh, and and again, we love our vodka too. But in a martini, this just offers this.
There's a layer of complexity there that you can't get with vodka.
You can't get. And I think you're absolutely right, Rich, when you said earlier about someone who's drinking vodka all their life, they try this, they'll never go back.
It's fantastic, and I was the same way, to be honest with you. And now at home, if I'm having a martini, it's almost exclusively a Knickerbocker gin martini. And I have now been trying to branch out. I have more than one gin, of course, in my bar, and to study and see how these guys are doing. It's a lot of fun.
I agree. This is well worth the trip. I would have driven to Michigan just to be able to try this.
I'm glad we could meet here in Chicago.
Yeah, absolutely. It's great. The blue just signifies, purity, loyalty, crystal clear. With the orange is where the party's coming from. It's definitely something that I would use as my first choice at a party because it's just so versatile, and I get excited about talking about it. I think that this might turn a lot of heads.
Yeah. Well, I know every palate is different, so I'm not trying to put a square peg in a round hole here, but what I hear most in describing this gin, just to relay that information, is juniper on the nose. It's definitely a gin. And then in the mid palate, as you start drinking it, there's a lot of citrus. It's really soft and round. And then it finishes with a little bit of spice.
I got the spice,
I use the word spice because that's where all palates are different. I pick up cinnamon. I hear some pick up clove or
from
nutmeg, licorice. So a lot of different ways to interpret the
I gotta compliment you guys because there may be licorice here, but it's not so overpowering. It doesn't want me to drink more. And it's always a good sign when we go back for more because it lets us know that we really enjoy it. I just like how it pours. I'm really excited about it, and I couldn't imagine the world not having this.
Yeah. There's I'm finding a lot of different interpretations of cocktails with this.
You get a little bit of fennel off the nose too.
Yeah, they're kind of coming from the licorice.
And then if you're getting any of the licorice, that is from fennel.
Right.
But I have to compliment you because we've tried gins in the past that have fennel in it, but they just go so overboard that it takes me away from gin. This brings me back to my roots, and it's got something, like you said, Rich, something not only for the vodka drinker, but also the gin drinker, not only for the traditionalists, but also people that are exploring gin. It's a good entry point into gin, and I think that if I were to market this, I would use this as an entry point into the realm of gin.
I think it's a reasonable comment, but what we also want to people appreciate is it is a relatively complex gin. There is a lot going on here, and I think that its approachability may first and foremost be because we did scale back.
It's one of a kind.
Yeah, if you do get people who don't drink gin, it's one of the first things. I do tours and I do tastings at the pub, and one of and when people go, I said, well, you really should try the gin. Well, I'm not a gin drinker. I'm like, look, just a little try, and they always come back going, wow, I can drink this, and it's like, all right.
How are you able to calibrate 12 ingredients, so balanced? Because sometimes you get that one ingredient that just knocks you off. Like sometimes, do you just from quality control, or is it more of just your own personal experience? How are you able to really it's balanced perfectly?
Yeah.
I have to be honest about this. This is the recipe that was set when I came on board.
It's a good recipe.
Yeah, and as Rich said earlier, you know, Brett Vander Kamp came up with this recipe, and you know, we're not gonna mess with it.
No, we all enjoy it very much, and
Yeah.
we have no plans to tweak in any way. And to answer the question, I feel it's just our palates. You know, we do taste our spirits occasionally to just kind of recalibrate ourselves, and I think this is a good example of Dennis's palate being very well refined at this point. That it does come out consistently, and it is based upon simply tasting it in-house. No add that's being made.
Get a little bit of that orange in there, and I don't know if there's any orange in there.
There's orange zest.
I get that orange zest, and now it's all coming in. I'm processing it, but it's delicious. I'm very pleased.
Yeah.
Anything to add, Neil, or?
Keep up the good work, guys.
Thank you.
It's been fun watching people find their way with this and developing different cocktails. We're finding a lot of really interesting approaches. I do have to give credit to someone, since we're in Chicago, Alex Hubner, who is a bartender here in town. His recipe for Knickerbocker is just add ice, don't bleep it up.
Yeah.
So I have to give credit where that's due as well.
Yeah,
it is
sounds
nice
about
with just
right.
a couple of ice cubes.
On ice, that'll be a good one to go.
Yeah.
I'm Justin with ginreviews.com.
I'm Neil with ginreviews.com.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Salud.